it's already a done deal. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your December soul session. I am Princess India. If you are new and if you are family, welcome back, my friend. And what's not, or whatever. So if you aren't familiar with what my soul sessions are, they are my spirituality as well as personal development readings, in which we look at the energies that you guys may encounter this month, as well as any challenges you guys may face. And we do that for the purpose to offer you some clarity and guidance on, what you guys may encounter this month. And a whole bunch of cards just fell out and one fell on the floor. Well, the one that fell on the floor is pretty dope. I'm just gonna look at them because I learned from Taurus. Let's see here. We have the Two of Coins weighing your options. We have the Two of Wands, the need to make a decision, but the inability to make one. The reason for that would be the Eight of Cups in the reverse, because there's an inability to walk away from something that's no longer serving you, and not doing that is what is preventing you from your hopes and wishes being fulfilled. So, I mean, I'd end the reading there, but you know what I'm saying. Let's see what comes out. So let's go ahead and get into you guys' cards. Whoa, hello. Get into you guys' cards for December. It's a little side message there. Technically, it's kind of like you guys are getting two readings. We have a central energy, a challenge, past influence, future possibilities, above energy as well, okay, as two below energies. Let's just go with that. We're going to start with what's at the bottom of your deck. And those of you who have watched the collective reading, keep in mind, Virgo, that you guys' card was surrendering fear, because in December, we're looking at it from the perspective of surrendering, and we're surrendering the things that are no longer serving us, and fear would be one of those things, Virgo. Anywho, at the bottom of your deck, okie dokie, we have the Emperor in the reverse. Whew. So with the Emperor in the reverse at the bottom of you guys' deck, Virgo, we're seeing this from the perspective of your undergirding energy. What this says to me, pretty straightforward, is pseudo power. When we're talking about pseudo power, we're talking about the 3D external world's understanding of power, which means like, money, control, notoriety, not necessarily saying that you guys are doing this, but, controlling people or being a jerk to people or using fear to control people, in so many words, or someone doing that to you. Right? And all of that energy is what's keeping you guys out of alignment with what it is that you're called to do. So here's the thing, and this is just a message I'm getting now. When it comes to following a spiritual path, what one is called to do when you're following a spiritual path is counterintuitive to what you've been conditioned to believe is correct or right. It can seem stepping out of alignment of what would seem to be what the world knows to be power, right? And stepping into something that people would consider weakness, but in reality is actually humility. But the thing is that in order for one to align with their life path and their purpose, it requires a descent, which is usually a stripping process that leads you into a place of humility so that you can ascend to true power. So it's kind of like that tortoise in the hare fable, if you will. It takes a lot longer than it does for you to follow the path of the hare, if you will. But things that come quickly, you also lose quickly, right? So it's a longer process, but it's something that actually has longevity. So I'm feeling with my Virgos, what lies beneath whatever it is that we get into in you guys' cards is a sense of disempowerment, and the illusion thereof of empowerment via pseudo power, which reminds me of, for all of 2019 and a lot of 2020, if you guys were to look back at your readings, it's the same consistent thing. And the reason why I remember it for Virgo is just because with you guys, it was so consistent in 2019. It was really hard to overlook, but consistently we were speaking to this false facade that was being projected into one's reality, right? And a myriad of different things going on underneath it. But every single reading always came back to the need for Virgos to be true to themselves. And I think the biggest fear that Virgo had with that was this thought of that stripping process. It's not wanting to relinquish or to give up what one had built up. This picture that one was sending out into the world, because it's almost as if that was too much to lose. However, that's totally fine. But the only thing is when it comes to living in one's truth or following a spiritual path, it's like you can't do both, which goes back to what I said in Pisces reading, which was a scripture that came up to me, which was that you can't serve both God and mammon, right? And it's not necessarily saying that this has anything to do with money, but the fact of the matter is that I feel like the thought process is, if I can keep up whatever it is that I'm projecting to the external world and fix myself behind that, like kind of fake it till you make it kind of mentality, if I can keep that up and fix myself behind it, then I can step out into the world as my authentic self and then throw away the fake self. And then no one will ever see like, you know, a glitch in whatever it is that I'm projecting to the world. But the thing is that this process doesn't work like that. So you have to pick one. And just kind of talking to my staff earlier today, what I started to realize is the consistency I see in all the readings is just that. It's everyone is being put into a place to where you have to pick a side. You know what I mean? It's like you can't be two things at once. It's like either you're going to be the false bravado, the pseudo power, or you are going to be the authentic self and true power, but you can't do both, if that's making sense. But anywho, the central energy that you guys have, look at that, the star came back. So the central energy is the star. So we're talking about your hopes being restored, wishes being fulfilled. But again, this is still speaking to transcending what it is that you guys know to be, I don't want to just say reality because it's going to sound a little too lofty minded, but it's transcending what it is that you guys know. All other signs up to you guys have been dealing with this whole Likert scale all the way to the left, all the way to the right, being a total heart emotional person to being a total analytical mind person. And what we're talking about is transcending both of those to be a marriage between the two. So the love child of Cupid and Psyche, if you will, if you want to go all Greek mythology with it. But what we're talking about is how it is that you guys get to fulfillment and happiness is going to require something that it is that you've never done before. However, the central focus of you guys' experiences this month is getting you to a place in which your hopes are restored. You guys are getting to a place to where you're feeling optimistic and positive about the future and willing to leave anything behind that's no longer serving you. Now, the challenge is the world in the reverse. So we're talking about unfinished business, which is my favorite thing as a Gestalt therapist. Unfinished business would be things from our past, whether it's your childhood or it's your recent past, or that are loose ends, if you will, the things that you're continuously perpetuating. So if we were to look at the cards that fell out for you guys in the beginning, and we're talking about specifically the Eight of Cups in the reverse, it's things that you refuse to walk away from that are no longer serving you, to put that within the context of what's happening within the entire collective right now. It would be those things that are like Six of, Pentacles in the reverse. It's the things that you are feeding time, energy, and effort into that are no longer feeding into you. Speaking of which, the star card is Aquarius energy, the Emperor is Aries energy. And if we were to speak to signs that are related to the world card, that would be the fixed signs, which is Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Leo. Just throwing that out there. But anywho, but we're talking about the things that you guys have deeply ingrained. It's the patterns that you're consistently repeating. Now, if we were to speak to this in the context specifically of patterns, right? Whatever it is that you guys feel like you're consistently repeating, whether it's ending up at jobs that seem different in the very beginning and it's the same problems, or friendships or relationships and it's the same thing you're perpetuating, all of those things are speaking to your unfinished business. So these are things that are wounds. These are things within you that are unresolved, right? That you keep magnetizing to you subconsciously so that you can get a resolve. However, I feel this world in the reverse, in contrast to the star card, is speaking to a specific person and or situation. And I just hear for some of you, it is daddy issues. But other than that, it's specific situations and circumstances that keep perpetuating in your life. One specifically that's rehearsing itself. It's a situation in which you feel extremely disempowered, right? And this is kind of a side note, but it's something that you feel extremely disempowered. I don't know if some people could still live with their parents. So I don't know if it's like you still live with a parental figure and it's very oppressive, but the chain of command I'm seeing, if I could call it that way, it's a person. And I mean, for some of y'all, it might be, a spouse or a partner, but it's feeling very disempowered at home. And you're externalizing that lack of control at home into like your work or friendship space, to where you try to control people outside of you the same way that this person in your immediate circle controls you. But that's more of a subconscious thing. So you wouldn't be consciously aware that you do this. The only way you'd be consciously aware if people consistently tell you that you're controlling. You know what I'm saying? But all of that is symptoms and signs of unfinished business. And the whole task this month is for you guys to finish said business. Now, your past influence is the moon card. So just like I was talking about, the subconscious. So a lot of the stuff that Virgos are dealing with this month is subconscious. So, and I'm going to say this kind of in the reverse. I often say how other people treat you says more about them than it does about you. But take this however you may, Virgo. But I feel the need to say that to you all. How it is you treat other people says more about you than it does about them, even if one felt justified. And please don't take this personally, but even if one feels justified in how it is that you treat other people. But I feel that there's a need to really dive deep and think about that. And I could say it on both sides. For those of you who feel like you're maltreated by other people, know that that has more to do with them. But Virgos, the way that you would know that you're mistreating people is if you have a history of people who are consistently, oh my goodness, why is my mother calling me right now? If you have a history of people who are consistently telling you that don't know each other, because that's the qualifying factor. We're talking about a whole group of people that have never met each other over the course of, years, right? That have all been telling you the same thing, and they don't know each other. So it's not like they're having a meeting behind your back that you don't know about, right? It's like if over the course of, say, 10 years, every single friendship that hasn't worked out, every single one of your friends have said the same exact thing. So hypothetically, it's like for the last 10 years, you've had 10 friendships in the last 10 years that have broken up. And every single one of those people said you're selfish. All you do is think about yourself, right? None of these people know each other. They live in different states. They ain't never been introduced to each other. And in that sense, and I'm not saying that this is all Virgos, because for some of you, it very well may be that every single friendship that you've had or relationship that you've had, it's like, people have lied, cheated, backstabbed you, whatever the case may be. So get in where you fit in. But if there's people who are saying over the course of 10 years that you're selfish, but you've never stopped to think that you are the one that's selfish. It's just the thought that all of these other people are just wrong. You know what I mean? If we do self-reflection, it never hurts to consider things such as that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like if one person says like, oh, I'm not friends with you anymore because you're this and you're that, and it's a myriad of different things, that's one thing. But if we never take the time to self-reflect to see, and that's why I say the qualifying factor is that these are people that have absolutely nothing in common with each other. You feel what I'm saying? That don't know each other. You know what I mean? That's something that you want to kind of take some time to think about, because with the moon card being here, coming from November into December, we're talking about subconscious projections. When we're projecting onto other people, stuff that we have unresolved underneath it all, right? We're going to get into that in a second. We're not consciously aware that we're doing it. So in order for us to realize that, which is where therapy comes in, because when you're talking to your therapist, you're just talking, and therapists are trained to pick up on patterns. You know what I mean? So we're going to kind of hear, that sounds a lot like how they said their relationship with their, parents sound. And it's like, we'll throw that out there like, well, do you see any similarities between this and your relationship with your parents? You know what I mean? And that's literally when people will have like the biggest epiphanies, because we don't think about that because it's not conscious. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of times when we are reacting to life, it's like we're doing it from a place of self-justification, but we're not really stopping to think why it is that we do it in the first place, if that's making sense. Now, you guys, underlying energies, we have the 9 of Swords in the reverse and the 8 of Cups. So here is the dealio, my friend. You guys are coming to a place of inner resolve, right? This month is offering you guys an opportunity with this unfinished business to complete it. And I feel like and I'm going to say it like this. it's already a done deal, okay? Because with this Nine of Swords being in the reverse, and the Eight of Cups being here, and the Eight of Cups being one of those cards that fell out in the very beginning with the star was upright, the Eight of Cups was in the reverse. But it's more or less the Nine of Swords and the reverse is speaking to subconscious, like the moon and the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords, of course, is a minor arcana, but the minor arcana that's matched with a major arcana is the Nine of Swords. But this being in the reverse means that you guys are coming out the tail end of it. With the Eight of Cups being here, it's speaking to you guys walking away from it. So what this is saying to me is you guys came into December from November with this stuff from your subconscious that was starting to rise to the surface, right? The challenge is ending the unfinished business. For some of you, it's going to be mending fences. For others of you, it's going to be accepting what has been, seeing the connections between things, between your past and your present, and accepting what has happened, that it can't be changed. And once again, like I've been telling everyone, the key of leaving from this month into the next year, it's not about you guys coming to a complete resolve and understanding all of your trauma and experiences throughout your life and healing instantaneously. No. The biggest thing is acknowledging and acceptance. That's 50% of the battle when it comes to healing. So I feel all of this is acknowledging. It's not about you 100% finishing all of your unfinished business. It's just the fact of, which is why I feel, side note, like why diagnosis helps, because to have feelings like the Nine of Swords, which would be anxiety, and to have a name for it, to say, oh, this is what it is, so I'm not crazy. There's not something just random, like out the blue, just me, the only person out of all the people on planet Earth that are experiencing this. It's like there's a name for it. This is what it's called. Oh my gosh, those are the symptoms. Now I feel validated. I feel like there's not anything wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's putting a name to something. So acknowledging it. And then coming to a place to say, whoa, this is what I'm dealing with. And when you can accept that, then now there's a path forward on how you can rectify it or deal with it, right? Which would be what the Eight of Cups is. It's walking away from it. So just the simple fact that these cards are showing up like this and you guys under energy or below energy, which is what's going on inside of you, it's more or less half the battle is already won. The only thing that you guys are required to do to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, like I said with Cancer, or for you guys to see your hope restored in a sense, is acknowledging it and accepting it. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. And there is hope for me because there's a way out of this particular situation. There's a way to rectify what it is that I've been through. Because I feel with this moon and this Nine of Swords in the reverse, I feel you guys maybe have like, well, literally all of November. Your dreams could have been like crazy. You know what I mean? You may have had insomnia. You may have been feeling hella sad. But the whole purpose of that is all of these things were trying to come to the surface to be acknowledged, because we can't release anything until we acknowledge it first. Now you guys above energy, which is so beautiful, it is the Death card. So we're talking about transition and transformation. So I feel the biggest thing is it's almost like, if you think about like scary monsters in your closet and things of the sort, like when you're a kid, and like you turn the light on, like it's like, oh my gosh, there's a monster in my closet. You turn the light on and it's like an umbrella and like a pair of shoes or some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because your mind's playing tricks on you. I feel the same way with you guys. I feel there's a level, Virgo, of things that you guys have been repressing, even if we're speaking to your own self-concept. It's just the simple fact that the way that you guys, and that's Scorpio energy, by the way, but you guys have been perceiving yourself in a way that's not authentic to who you are. And I feel that's what it is that's been being repressed. So if I were to make sense of your 2019 and your 2020, of what it is that you project into the external world, the reason why you project this image, and this is for those of you, I'm not saying this to all Virgos, just those of you who've been with me since 2019, right? That resonated with all of those readings. If you've been with me that long, and you resonated with those readings saying, acknowledging, whoa, yeah, I do that, right? The reason why one would project this false self or create this false self and act as that self with people outside of them is because there was this perception of yourself is that you were less than or that you were not good enough. And you felt this false projection you were sending out into reality was better than who you actually were, right? So what we're talking about with this is a death of that person, right? Because I feel the way that you guys measured yourselves up wasn't correct. Like personally, if Princess were to say it, I feel like your authentic self is way better than your false self. However, there's no judgment here because it's understandable about whatever it is that you guys have endured through your life that made you believe you needed to hide that person and to step into this false person that you've created. It totally makes sense. However, this is becoming something that's a block in your life. It's something that's holding you back. So the most important imperative thing about this is allowing that old self to die, that false bravado, that false person that you guys created. It got you to this point. It served its purpose. And I know Ayanna Van Zant said something about that. Her real name is Rhonda. And she said that was like the funeral that she had for herself before she changed her name to Ayanna. She said Rhonda had served her purpose. She was hurt. She was broken. She was traumatized. She had been through so much stuff in her life. And she said, she's important to me because she got me to where it is that I am now, but she was too broken to continue forward. So I laid her to rest. You know, I gave her a funeral. I grieved her. I cried over her, but it's like, now you can rest because you can't take care of this leg of the journey. So that's very much what it is that I'm seeing with you guys. It's a facet of yourself that has been useful in the fact that it got you to where you guys are now. However, it's time for that person to proverbially die and for you guys to now be rebirthed and step into your authentic self. I want to say authentic. That's a funny word. Anywho, so moving forward, we have Taurus energy. Man, pretty much y'all whole reading is major arcanas except for your underlying energy, which is hilarious. I think it was Cancer who had that too, if I'm not mistaken. But anywho, moving forward, you guys have the Hierophant in reverse. So we're talking about you guys coming out of agreement with false ideals and false values. So it's pretty much your conditioning, which is the theme of a lot of people this month. It's a former part of your life being all about who it is that you were conditioned to be, what society said that you needed to be happy, what your family, friends, whatever said it was that you needed to be happy, but it's creating a life and attempting to build a life and live a life that was never intended to belong to you. So this whole month is about you guys coming back to your truth, coming back to your authentic hope. And that's something that can never die despite what it is that you experience in life. So it's you guys coming out of agreement with things that are no longer serving you, things that you guys don't value. So it's relinquishing these false values to embrace your true authentic values. Those of you who have done my Purpose RX course know how to unearth those values. Those of you who do not take it, it is still on my website as a toolkit. Holler at it if you're about that life. But anywho, that's really what we're talking about is your core value system. It's you guys eradicating yourself from any form of oppression, even if we're talking about a father figure that's existing as, you know, an inner critic in your head. You know what I mean? Because it really feels like a vibe of things never being good enough and you guys falling into this pattern of perfectionism by trying to align to an impossible ideal. So it's saying, F that ideal, I'm going to create my own dag-nabbit son of a gun. You know what I'm saying? And that empowers you, my friends. So overall, Virgo, it's looking really good for me, but I'm going to go over to Vimeo, my website, YouTube members, and wait. Vimeo website, YouTube members. Oh yeah, and Patreon to do you guys extended. I have a lot of member platforms to see what else we got going on here. So if you're about that life, follow me over there. If not, I still love your face and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.